Live and Rock is brought to you in part by ShifterMagazine.com, your source for entertainment news, reviews, and interviews. Plus, amazing resources and how-tos for the independent artist in you. Check them out at ShifterMagazine.com. It's another episode of
Live and Rock. Creative soul for creative soul.
Most artists cannot be comfortable stuck in one box. That's right.
And that's what this podcast is about. It's not just filmmaking, but creative pursuits in general.
The creative life, whether it's music, whether it's writing, whether it's painting, illustrating,
photography,
dancing, whatever it is.
Make some noise, rock the world before your time runs out. Let them know what you're about and just make some noise, rock the world no matter what your game. Make sure the whole world remembers your name. Make some noise, rock the world before my time runs out. You know what I'm about, I'ma make some noise, rock the world so when I'm out the game.
Yes, indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. We are here. This is Live and Rock.
Rockin' live.
For real.
Literally live. In the place
man.
to be for the first time ever. We are broadcasting out to the world.
That's right, from Toronto, Canada, and it is episode 22.
That's right. If you're following us on Twitter, and that is at Live and Rock on Twitter,
that's correct.
You should have got a notification right now.
That's correct.
That we are recording live.
And welcome to everybody. Just so you know, this is the creative show for creative souls.
Mm-hmm.
I am one host, one half, the poet, producer, performer, Craig Doyle Henry, a.k.a. CDH.
Live.
You got it. And the other voice you're hearing...
This is the one and only Mr. H.S. Lee, a.k.a. Mr. Hearts and Powers, the writer
indeed.
and author of all things space, love, and superheroes. That's the name of the blog, plug.
Yes, indeed.
But for the purposes of this show, also known as the artist formerly known as Shell Rock.
That is
hip-hop
correct. Yes.
MC extraordinaire.
And during this show, we're going to be talking about major, minor goals. This is where we landed for episode 22. We are also going to be sharing some tips and tools in our suit up section and just overall having a good time hanging with Live and Rock. You know what it is? Yeah. Giving that insight to the creative life. That's what I always love to do.
This whole show is all about giving that insight, and I love to do that too. We just have different approaches and different perspectives on how to do that.
That is very true, my friend, my brother. That is very true.
Yeah.
But we're both excited about this episode.
Yes.
So let's get on board. And
I am on board. The train has already left the station. Let's just get right into it. Let's take a quick break with a quick TV timeout to just set the stage and get us in the mood.
Yeah.
And we'll just, This is episode 22, and we're welcome and we're glad to be here with you. Just buckle in and get ready for the ride.
Let's roll.
Ha 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 ha. Wow. Why is it not working? There we go.
I would say that Tribe Called Quest was definitely the fathers of a whole new brand of hip-hop. They completely mastered the form and culture of what hip-hop is supposed to be.
Up to then, rap was maybe more about like boasting. And they came out and it was like party records, but doing it with a consciousness.
Everything about that was magic.
Microphone check, 1, 2, what is this? The 5 foot is ever with the love that business.
Nothing was touching Tribe. Nothing.
I've known QTip since we were about 2 years old.
We met in church. Best friends, you know what I'm saying? He was the one who said to me, yo, you should rhyme. And if you could rhyme, that was like a big deal.
Then he met Ali in high school, and before you know it, it was on.
You had one voice that was high.
A little high-pitched voice. I hated my voice.
And then you had Tip, who was like in the middle.
And that was always a dynamic.
The yin and yang of those two, that to me was the perfect marriage.
Can I kick it? These are the drums.
Q-Tip just picks the best loops, man. Myself, Kanye, we wouldn't be here, man, if it wasn't like for Tribe albums.
The only change I sought was just to see those guys' relationship deteriorate.
Chemistry was dead.
Can I kick it? I've never had a problem.
Fife had a problem with me.
If I'm asking you something wrong, say it.
Dude, I'm in a group with you. You're not my dad. I'm gone. That was it for me. Good things do come to an end.
I did everything I could do. 20 years.
Is a Tribe Called Quest going to make more music? You got the answer to that question? It's going to be one interesting documentary.
As the tribe flies high like a dove.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen.
The reason why Tribe Called Quest is still relevant is because it was truth.
Word. Speak it, preach it, Q-Tip.
Yeah, one of those things that is inevitable, but that we don't always, there's never, that right time where we want to hear about tragic news.
Yeah.
And you picked this TV timeout in tribute.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
So yeah, tribute to the late great 5-foot assassin Phife Dawg. I shouldn't say that late because it's pretty recent. So after our last episode,
right,
we got the news of the legend of the member of Tribe Called Quest, Phife, passing away, and of course, as everybody knows, I'm from that generation, the golden era of hip hop.
Yes,
so for
indeed.
me, that hits hard and it hits to home. So I just felt like on today's episode, I want to at least acknowledge it. You know?
And I think it's important because it's an interesting thing is that Phife is he's part of one of the most influential rap groups of the golden era of hip hop. And so it's worth taking that time to acknowledge his contributions. And I know you wrote about it on your blog.
Yes.
And a lot of comments. What was the response that you were getting from the
I didn't actually do a blog post on it. I just put on Facebook specifically.
Right.
Like I put my comments on what I thought about the fact of the deep hole that's been left by him being gone and how it's affected me, like a million other people have done. So obviously a lot of people, like that and made their comments. But for me, the whole thing is just, again, I have a platform here with Live and Rock Show with you.
Yes.
And as a creative artist who has been truly inspired and affected in deep ways by Tribe Called Quest,
right?
Because I'm a former MC,
right? Yeah,
from that era, so I looked up to them as many other groups of that time. But yeah, I felt we had to say something on this episode.
True
and
indeed.
For those of you who are new to the show, of course, this is the reason why we're talking about this. It's not just idle chatter, but we start every show talking about what's inspiring us,
right?
In terms of in the world of arts and entertainment, what's inspiring us, what's motivating us, what we just got a kick out of in the last 2 weeks,
or what's affecting us.
Yes, in our creative journey. So this is the context of why we're talking about this here right now. But since that's what I wanted to talk about, I also wanted to put you guys onto the Beats, Rhymes, and Life documentary that came out. I think it was in 2011. You familiar with
it was
this?
About that time, directed by Michael Rappaport.
Yes.
And that was a clip from the documentary that was played for the TV timeout, for those who don't know what that was.
Yeah. So if you guys, for all you hip hop heads who miss Phife, or you want to get a little taste of him, behind the scenes, or fill that void a little bit, check out the documentary. The actual full documentary is on Netflix. If you don't have Netflix, it's on YouTube as I'm looking at it right here as we speak.
Yeah, a definite must watch.
Yeah. And he talks about his sickness that he passed from, by the way, the diabetes.
Right, exactly.
In that documentary. Yeah.
So it definitely gives you a different kind of perspective and appreciation for the work that he put in, even when he didn't have it in him.
Yeah.
Physically.
Yeah.
He still put it in.
Yeah. And trust me, man. That's inspiration, man. Trust me.
Yeah. And speaking of that, another thing that's kind of been affecting me is I've mentioned a lot Marc Maron, this podcast.
Yeah.
He actually did an interview with Michael Rappaport recently, literally real time just before. And
what do you mean just before?
Just before 5 passed.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, so it was like within the last couple weeks.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Wow.
So he had Michael Rappaport on there, and
serendipity, boy.
Yeah,
Holy.
it was a I mean, the whole conversation was just really relaxed and insightful to the type of career path that he's had as a performer. And
so what does he do? I mean, I know he directed the documentary Beats, Rhymes, and Life.
Right.
I know he's been in a few movies. I think the movie that comes to my mind that I most remember him from is the one when he's the sniper. And he's with
Higher Learning.
Is it Higher Learning? No. I said he's a sniper. Like a gun shooter. Like,
isn't that what he plays in Higher Learning?
No. That's with Eddie Murphy. When Eddie Murphy did that action movie back in the days. You don't remember that movie?
I'm not sure what you're referring to there. But here's what I can say is that he's definitely one of those memorable people in whatever movie he comes in. And when you listen to the conversation with him and someone like Marc Maron, you really get a good sense for, why he's around the hip hop world and involved with those really kind of groundbreaking, innovative types of projects. Yeah, because he actually, as he says, he grew up with pretty much just rough guys.
Right.
And he was always the only white guy around.
Yeah.
So he naturally just, picked up on groups like Tribe Called Quest, and he was talking about how it was such a dream come true to be able to put that project together on them. Yeah, so definitely another inspiring thing for me this week, or in recent times, is that Michael Rappaport interview with Marc Maron.
What do you know? What episode it's on? Like, for anyone that wants to check it out, like the date of the episode, or
I could find out here because I have my phone here, which is where I listen to my podcast.
Well, that's good. That's what we do.
Let me pull it up.
The year 2016
episode that it was.
We have these.
It was very recent.
We have modern day tricorders for a reason, aka smartphones.
Right. Exactly. So this was Michael Rappaport was March 14th.
March 14th. Okay,
that's
so
right.
about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago.
He was in. I'm looking at his filmography here right now on IMDb, whatever.
Yeah, he was in a whole lot of movies, right?
for a while. He was on Friends.
Yeah,
a reoccurring role.
He was in Hitch.
Metro. That's the movie I was thinking about with him.
Oh,
and
with
Eddie
Eddie Murphy.
Yeah.
True.
Wow, I didn't realize. Wow, time flies. That was in '97.
Yeah,
literally almost 20 years.
Yeah, man.
Holy.
And he's even appeared on Blackish more recently.
He was? What?
Yep. Last year.
Oh, I saw that episode where he was like the what? Yeah. You got to check that out. Blackish.
Yeah, man. So it's definitely an interesting character to be able to, not just character, but an interesting person.
Yeah. Creator.
To be able to
industry.
hear, what his journey has been like through
what,
and that's what I really love about Marc Maron.
Yeah.
Is that his show, it just gets real with people and helps you to truly understand where they're coming from and why they choose the kinds of projects they do, etc.
Right.
Or how they just kind of stumbled into different types of projects.
Right. Yeah.
Based on their relationships and so on.
Yeah.
So that's definitely a good one. That's affected me a lot.
The thing that jumped out about that interview that you just said to me, when you said that he grew up as like the only white guy among rough hood people, probably all his friends or his classmates were hood rats or thugs, whatever. That thing that stands out to me is because it kind of reminds me of being the odd person that can't fit in.
Yeah,
that doesn't seem to fit in. Like you don't fit into one particular mold or stereotype.
Right. Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
And another thing that's been inspiring me is the musical Hamilton.
Yeah.
Follow me with this.
I want to follow you, but I have to just mention quick as you talk about that not fitting in thing.
Yeah.
You turned me on just last night and I checked it out.
Dope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On Netflix.
Yeah.
That I was so just like, wow.
Oh, you watched the movie?
Yeah, man. I watched it last night.
Wicked.
And it was just so refreshing to see a story told from a different perspective and, you know, break your expectations.
Yeah,
dope.
Let me break your expectations right now. Check this out.
Malcolm Adekambi is a geek. Malcolm lives in Inglewood, California, in the Darby-Dixon neighborhood referred to as the Bottoms.
This is a quick description, the quick trailer of Dope, the movie. Let's rewind the track and come back again from the top. All right.
Malcolm Adekambi is a geek. Malcolm lives in Inglewood, California, in the Darby-Dixon neighborhood referred to as the Bottoms.
Dope felt like it hit home in a lot of places in terms of the way that I grew up. I could relate to the quirkier side of things.
Malcolm's friends, Jib and Diggy, are also geeks.
All I want to do is zoom, 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 and a boom, boom.
It's slightly nerdy, but it's super cool underneath it all.
Malcolm, Jib, and Diggy are all deeply obsessed with 90s hip-hop culture, submerging themselves in the music, watching old Yo MTV Raps episodes for fashion tips, and using the slang.
Dope, right? Malcolm and his friends are into 90s hip-hop and punk music and rocking out.
The 90s are special because the music felt so different and with so much diversity.
Hip-hop felt like the most dangerous, exciting, innovative thing that was happening.
I be seeing you and your little friends with y'all flat tops and MC Hammer pens. What's up with that anyway?
90s hip-hop is the golden era of hip-hop. Oh, pardon my language. I'm sorry. I'm too excited.
We're all in a punk band called Oreo because
they're into white. Like skateboards, manga comics, Donald Glover, and for listening to white, like trash talk, TV on the radio, and for doing white, like getting good grades and applying to college.
Yeah, Can't Bring Me Down. That's just a quick little taste for our listeners, just to give them context.
Yeah, that was
really great songs that are
like
positive.
watching the movie. I was just like, every 10 minutes or so, I was just like, yo, this is dope. Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's a definitely, I mean, it's art.
Yes.
At the end of that experience, you're like, this is art. This is creativity.
Yeah.
This is not the normal, you know, typical
cookie cutter. Yeah, exactly. Like I was super impressed. I came upon it by accident last week because they were watching it at the house over the long weekend.
Man.
But yeah,
and
like
produced by Pharrell Williams.
Exactly. I didn't know that until I watched the thing that today on YouTube. I watched a little featurette on it. And I was like, oh, okay, Pharrell. That makes sense.
Yeah,
because he's kind of that mold. Like the main character is a nerd, but he's black.
Right.
But he's into hip hop, 90s hip hop, and that's kind of what Pharrell was. You know, like he started with NRD, right? Nerd,
exactly.
Back in the days, and he had that rock type influence in terms of his musical taste and his musical production style, and that's exactly what the main character was in there. You know?
Yeah, I was just like right into it, man. I can't say enough about it.
I'm glad you said that because I actually wanted to propose. Well, maybe we don't have to now since we're doing it, but I was gonna actually say in next episode we should do it like a dope review. I'll watch it again, man. Section. Yeah.
Just,
it's dope. Trust me. Yeah.
It's so multi-layered, right? Well, like when you're watching it, you're realizing how much work must have went into this.
Yeah.
To just layer it so much.
Yeah.
And weave together this.
Yeah.
Not only is it an interesting story, but it's weaved together in such an interesting way.
Yeah. Like you said, it's not cookie cutter at all.
It's dope.
And it's totally, we should do it next week for sure.
Yeah.
So if you
get a chance, check it out on Netflix.
Yes. And then next week you'll be able to have a more insightful listen
for real.
to our review of it. It's not a super old movie. It is from 2015, so it is not brand new, but it's still less than a year old. So
and it's just
check it out.
It's so little known and underrated. I think.
Yeah.
I think just undiscovered.
Yes. Actually, if you are in Canada right now, it is on the Movie Network as well.
Okay.
For free. That's where I watched it on.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So do that, man. Live and Rock listeners, do your homework, and next week we have a little more deeper discussion on it.
Yeah.
Speaking of deeper discussion on Dope and Layered, part of the reason why you watched it and why I wanted you to watch it was because we were talking about that whole identity of your creative identity as an artist.
Right, yes.
You specifically, CDH Live, you're working on new music right now.
Yes,
you played some
indeed.
for me yesterday, and we had a little discussion about how you feel like you don't fit the mold musically.
Right.
You know, and we'll go more in depth on that, I guess, when we get our feature conversation.
Right.
But that's part of the reason why you checked out Dope, because you were saying like he kind of, in my mind, he kind of reminded me of you, that black artist who does rap.
I explained where my position is as a creative artist right now.
Yeah.
And you said this is a good reference.
Yes.
And so I was like, all right, let me just try it out. And I sat down and watched it with Nicole. She loved it too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah.
It's definitely something I'm going to be watching again.
Word. All right. Wicked.
Yeah. So much to relate to in that story.
So where does that leave us now? We're going to go into our next section, I guess. Right?
Could. Are we on time for that?
Oh, we're more than in time. Actually, I was talking about the Hamilton thing and I forgot.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Hamilton. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we keep notes, eh?
Yeah, there you go, right?
We had a little offline discussion before the show started, folks, about the pros and cons of keeping show notes before we do the show, but that's another story.
Yes.
Anyways, Hamilton. Yes, that's another piece of arts and entertainment that has inspired me a lot over the last week.
Real quick, what is Hamilton?
Hamilton is a musical, a Broadway musical, a hit Broadway musical nonetheless at this point, that is about the history. It's about history, American history,
right?
But although it's about American history, it's done with rap music.
Okay,
throughout the entire musical,
right? So I'm curious, like, how did you get into this? Because I heard of Hamilton,
yes,
but I think I only heard like a small piece of one song.
Right.
How did you actually like stumble upon it? Like, what about it is inspiring you? Did you actually hear the whole soundtrack or?
Right. I love it I love how awesome you are at steering the conversation on point. Anyways, yeah. So I listened to this podcast called Pop Culture Happy Hour. Available on Spreaker, and I think I mentioned it before, but if not, Pop Culture Happy Hour, where they have a roundtable discussion about arts and entertainment.
Right.
On the episode on March 18th, they did a review or their reaction to the musical Hamilton.
Right.
And they went in depth about how the musical, the soundtrack, has been getting lots. Well, it won a Grammy recently.
Oh, already?
They won, I don't know if it's one Grammy or many Grammys. They won a lot of Grammys for the musical, for the sound.
Okay.
Sorry, the cast album.
Okay.
And they were talking about it for weeks before March 18th, so I heard about it through them. That's how I heard about the period. It was through them.
Through that podcast.
Yeah, and they mentioned it in small doses here and there for the last few months.
Okay.
But just on March 18th, a couple of weeks ago, they finally did a full episode dedicated to the musical where they gave it, right? So that was the first time I got insight, because they actually played some of the musical on that episode, and each one of them, it's four of them on the podcast. They gave their critiques and their raves about it, and they were talking about how even though it's a hip hop musical, it's not a hip hop musical in the sense of it's trying to change the landscape of musicals and throw away or diss the traditions of musicals, and replace them with hip hop traditions, But they went in depth and they started talking about how actually it embraces musicals and it embraces the traditions of musical theater. It's just that it's using the form of rap music,
which is funny you mentioned that specifically, because that's one of the things about Dope that was dope. Is that the score, even after the movie, Nicole and I were talking, I was saying, the way they used music, the music supervision, and she was just like, the score, and it's like, well, yeah, that's what I mean, but we're just so programmed to think score is strings and classical. They left that out
completely,
and they scored it with
straight
hip hop, 90s era hip hop, and some
hip-hop.
brand new music that was just had that nice edgy sound that fit the story. And they used it masterfully. Right. So it's like, do the genre that you want to do or the medium you want to use. but don't feel like if you're using hip hop, you're locked into the conventions and boxes that people currently think for that medium.
That's it.
That's what creativity is. It's saying, I'm going to use this, but I'm going to use it in a completely different way. Or I'm going to use this and I'm going to add something to it that nobody's done before.
That's what inspired me about it. So when I listened to that episode when they were breaking that down, that's what inspired me about it, because I was like, okay, up until that point, I didn't really care because I never heard it. I didn't know anything about it. They were mentioning it, here and there. But then once they broke it down and they played samples, then I was like, oh, now I get it. So here's a sample exactly of that, what you're talking about, where they used hip hop, and they were talking about the fact that the people who made, the guy that produced it and wrote the songs, they chose specific golden era hip hop artists to fashion different characters. So here's one clip of that example of that.
There's nothing rich folks love more than going downtown and slumming it with the poor. They pull up in their carriages and gawk at the students in the common just to watch them talk. Take Philip Schuyler, the man is loaded. But little does he know that his daughters, Peggy, Angelica, Eliza, sneak into the city just to watch all the guys.
So as you're listening to like, immediately when I hear that, I immediately start thinking of Run DMC and the classic era of the original hip hop. But the thing that jumps out about me is that, like, it's not hip hop in the sense of like, okay, if I heard that song by itself, I'll be like, yeah, that's my jam. It's not that. It's still very clean. I would say even like commercial or white hip hop. It's very, articulated, but that's not the point. It's just using it as a vehicle.
That's the thing. It's like, music that we need to understand is that music is a medium. Just like television is a medium. So when you're using music, the music doesn't dictate what you're going to say or the story you're going to tell. It's just a choice of a medium. And we've seen too many of hip hop's stories being told about the same things. And so it's always refreshing when somebody tells a different kind of story but uses hip hop as the medium. Because it allows you to tell different stories to the hip hop culture.
And even when you don't necessarily use the medium, but you just use elements from that medium or that culture or that, you know what I mean?
To be even more accurate, you express it through that culture.
The lens of that culture too. Or the point of view. There's so many different ways to flip it, to be honest. That's the reality. There's so many ways to flip it. I even think back to our experience and then the show being about Live and Rock the People. Even me with my book, Operation Dream Girl. It's like, as a hip hop person, I'm using the medium of books, and I'm writing a romantic, somewhat comedy book. But the story itself is being told with flavors and features from the hip hop world, because that's who I am. So every chapter has references to the hip hop world, and I have poems in every single chapter. And those poems are, some of them started as actual rap songs, and I just wrote them down as a poem, because at the end of the day, rap on paper is poetry,
It's like it's also like saying, if you're gonna be a poet or you're gonna write poetry, you can only talk about these things in these ways. Well, it's poetry. Like, how dare you say poetry can only be this way about these topics? That's absurd. That defies the entire point of it being poetry. So when we see people innovate in these ways and have the courage to completely flip the way that people think about a genre or a style or whatever, that's real creativity, man. So no doubt that's inspiring. Speaking of inspiring, one of the things we need is some tools to get our expression out there.
True.
And inspire the masses.
True.
So we should be, I think, about now getting into our suit up section.
True. We can do that. Get into our suit up section. Do you want to break it down before we get into it for those who are new? What is our suit up section?
Suit up is where you get tips and tools to help you on your creative journey to ultimate master expression.
Yeah.
And as always, this suit up section is brought to you by our friends at shiftermagazine.com.
Word.
That is an online destination for articles, interviews, and how-tos for creators and influencers of all types.
Yes. So without further ado, let's suit up.
Suit up. Suit up. Suit up. You suited up. Snow suit up. Flight suit up. Penguin suited up. Suit up. You suited up. Birthday suited up. Slut up. Suit up. Suit up. Suited up. Suit up. Suit up. Space suit up.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, let's suit up. What do we have on deck for today? What do we want to give people to do as a tip and tool?
So we're ready to suit up, and we want to solve some problems by giving you the tools to solve them, or at least some ideas, some options of how you can solve them.
Yes.
So the problem that we looked at this time is how do you get those, marketing materials you need out there when you don't have the money for it?
And more specifically, the area of visual marketing materials. So
Right.
if you have graphic design needs, this is like do-it-yourself graphic design that we want to give you guys. We want to give you some good options on a low to no budget to get graphic design. Because to give context, let's say you have something like us. You're just doing a podcast,
Right.
or you're doing a blog,
Right.
and those two mediums aren't necessarily visual, but they have a visual aspect. Like when
Right.
you post your episode, you want have a visual graphic you want
Right.
for that episode. Now, do you go out and spend $1 million to buy Adobe Photoshop to own that just to do those little icons?
Or do you hire somebody at, $50 to $100 an hour to do that?
Yes. I would say the answer is no, right?
Unless you got some money that we don't know about.
Yes, then it's just no object. But for most of us, you want to do it yourself in that situation. You're going to do it yourself.
So you need to design on a budget.
Yes.
And we've got 3 options for you that could be the perfect solution.
Yes. So I guess I'll start.
All right.
Option number 1, which is something that I've been using a lot lately, is called Pixelmator. Now, this option is a graphic design tool that is available. Unfortunately, at this point, it's only available for Mac users.
Okay.
And iOS. So if you're on like an iPad or an iPhone,
right,
you can use it. But Pixelmator is a graphic design software that gives you pretty much all or most of the design features you get in the professional industry standard, which is Adobe Photoshop and Adobe Illustrator. So you can do all your basic things, obviously, like filters, layers, add text to your images. You have drawing tools, paintbrush tools, and all the things you need.
Right.
But you're paying literally less than a fraction of the cost. The program costs $30 to download.
$30 total?
Total. And you own it. And
Forever?
Forever and ever and ever and ever. Amen.
Okay.
And the sweet thing about it is the learning curve is easy, so it gives you all the tools of Photoshop or the high-end industry standard, but it's a lot easy, quick to pick up and use. Plus, you can actually save and read Photoshop formats files.
Okay.
So you can interact and work with other people who are using the industry standard.
That definitely sounds like a really good deal.
Definitely go check it out. The pros of it are self-explanatory. The con, as I said, though, is that it's only for Mac users. But if you are a Mac user, we do have an option that relates to the fact that you do need Photoshop. And maybe you'll let CDH explain that.
So whether you're on a Mac or a PC,
yes.
the other option, as everybody knows, is the industry standard Adobe Photoshop.
Yes, or Illustrator. Yes.
I happen to use both because while I was, trying to hack my free versions for years and years, finally, Adobe came out with a solution for people like me called Adobe Creative Cloud, which means instead of paying $1,500 plus on one lump sum.
Yes,
I can have an affordable monthly rate of as little as $9.99 per month for one application. That is if you pay annually.
Okay.
So that's Photoshop and Lightroom,
Yes.
which gives you incredible tools for pretty much any of those basic graphic needs, like podcast images,
for $10 a month.
$10 a month US.
Yes. Okay. That's
and
ridiculously
if you want
good.
all apps,
Yes.
meaning everything Adobe makes, up to date, always, direct from the source, you get all of it for $49 a month US.
Wow.
So if anybody is even making a little bit of money through their creative ventures, and they need quick access to the industry standard for that professional quality, you now can have an affordable option with Adobe Creative Cloud.
Now, okay, just one quick question about that. When you said the $9.99 a month,
right,
for one application, is it only Photoshop, or can you choose the one application you want?
That one is specific to Photoshop and Lightroom.
Okay, so it has to be specifically Photoshop.
Yes.
It can't be
Other than
Illustrator
that, a single app is $20 a month. These are U.S. prices I'm quoting.
So that's okay. That sounds good. So that's pretty. Yeah, that's good, man. That's good.
It's very affordable for anybody who's serious about professional industry standard quality. This makes it extremely affordable.
Now we've talked,
and month to month you can do no contract.
Oh, that's even better. You should have led with that, yo. You get that, folks. So you don't even have to commit.
At a little bit higher cost, though.
Okay. So still, I mean, you have a one-off project this month and you're probably not going to use it again for another couple months. Just spend your $10. Do it for the month.
Right.
You know?
And of course, most of these softwares do give you a free trial period.
Oh, yes. You are absolutely right. That's what I did forget to mention about Pixelmator. There is a 30-day trial period. So if you are listening and you're on Mac or whatever and you want to just try it before you buy it, go ahead and do both of those.
So once again, the main thing for Photoshop is that you're getting industry standard software at a fraction of the cost.
Now, speaking of free, before we wrap up this suit up section, that is another one option that we want to give you guys is a practically free option.
Okay.
I use Pixelmator right now for all our graphics for the website, for my blog and for the Live Rock Show.
Right.
But before that, before I got into all of this, I actually just used your basic PowerPoint, a Microsoft Office application.
Right.
Now, you say PowerPoint is for presentations. What are you talking about, Shell Rock?
Yes, please break it down for us.
Plain and simply, a lot of people don't realize that you can use PowerPoint as a basic graphic design tool, because when you're within your slides or your presentation and you can literally just use it and design whatever you want and save those designs as JPEGs or GIFs.
Yes.
And print them out as you would with any other graphic design software that's specifically made for it.
Right.
So the reason why I'm recommending it as a last low-cost option is because most people who have a computer, a Windows computer, you probably have Microsoft Office and a good chance you have PowerPoint anyways lying around.
Right.
So you can just go ahead and use that for super basic stuff, and you're not interested in doing professional.
Right.
You can get it done. And mind you, the professional thing is in the hand of the user. So even
very, very true. Good point.
Go online. I did my inspirations. We talk about my inspirations a lot of time on here, my motivational comic art pieces.
Right.
If you go online and check them out at etsy.com/for inspiration, you will see they're very professional looking graphic design pieces that I've done.
Exactly.
And every single last one of them was done with Microsoft PowerPoint.
Yes. And I was amazed when I first heard that you used that.
Yeah.
So that goes to show that the quality that you can output from a simple program like that is definitely on point.
Yes. So 3 very good options, 3 different budgets, I guess. So let's check them out yourself. And
the main benefit to all of these is number 1, the low cost factor, but number 2, that you're learning another skill of how to express your vision.
Yes.
You have that full creative control to create the imagery that you want for your creative expression, your brand.
Yeah. For real. I think that's pretty good, man. I got goosebumps.
Yeah. It might just be the cold blowing outside.
For real. It's the middle. Snow is coming
in
down.
April, and we're seeing snow out the window, so that's not really a good look. But
no, not at all.
It's warm in here, so we're definitely warmed up now to get into the feature conversation, where we're going to be exploring major and minor goals as creative souls,
and keeping you guys the update on Live and Rock, on the ongoing reality series, the reality journey, the adventure, real life adventure as it happens of Live and Rock.
I'm looking forward to hear what's on your list.
All right, so let's get into it. Feature conversation on episode 22 of Live and Rock.
Rockin' Live.
Peace.